Hello, everybody. Oh, no, I had a part in my book. So while I'm waiting for everybody to jump on, I know there was a lot of you or a few of you waiting. I have to find my page. I was just at. So while I'm waiting for everyone to jump on, I want you to remember to type in where you're tuning in from if this is your first time and where you are listening or how you heard about it. Also, I know a lot of you with the YouTube, it's a little bit different from Facebook Live. It shouldn't be too terribly different. But just let me know how it's working for you. Give me a thumbs up or a like or whatever it is here on Facebook. Hello, Lee. Oh my gosh, I'm glad to see you tuning in, my friend. And like I said before, I'm going to hold you accountable. I hope you sent that email that you need to send. So there you go. I told you I was going to remind you and hold you accountable today. So while you're all jumping on, I'm starting to see you and you're typing in. Let me know where you're coming in from or tuning in from, and if this is your first time. And if it is your first time, let me know how you heard about it. And while you're also waiting, you can, if you haven't already, click subscribe to the YouTube channel, this one. And if you hit the little bell icon, then you'll be notified of when I'm going live. Like a lot of you today were notified that my son Jack was on live and he was testing all the equipment to make sure it finally works, which it does. Holy freaking shit, it really works. So some of you were able to chat with Jack this afternoon while he was testing it, and he did. You could go back and look at that episode, if you will. It's like 6 minutes long, and you can see him interacting, and he was writing things down, and he really did write me a note on what your questions were beforehand. So that was pretty fun. You did take care of it, Lee. That's good news. I'm going to keep holding you accounting for it. Let's see. Okay. Oh, hey. Oh, Rock Your Hair. I know who you are. Thank you for telling me how you heard about this. I remember we spoke briefly after one of my events. So you actually were the one or one of the few that were on this afternoon, and I do have your questions written down. So we'll get to those. But let me go over what tonight is about as I'm waiting for people to jump on. Tonight is about asking questions about energy, the other side, past life stuff, your own stuff as far as generalization. So I don't take personal intuitive questions or any real questions as like, what should I specifically do about this specific problem? That's more personal and specific and direct guidance and intuitive coaching, if you will. So I don't do that in this format, not yet anyway. Tonight is more generalized, informational stuff that your question could answer things that many of you have. So just remember that as you're tuning in and writing your questions down, that I'm not ignoring anybody, but if you're asking like personal intuitive questions, I just can't take that in this format. So there you have it. So we have a lot of New Jersey people on tonight, so this is exciting. Queens is fantastic. Let's see. First time in Niskayuna. Thanks, Dan and or Diane. I'm not sure if that's Dan or Diane. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Earlier, Jack said that the room was cold down here, and this is in our basement. Our basement has full-length mirrors. So mirrors. Oh God, help me. Why is my mouth and my brain not work together? Full-length windows. So our basement isn't like a dark cavern at all, but it does get cold down here. So the heat's pretty good. Plus I have this shirt on. Okay. Let's see. Can dead people watch TV alongside you? Absolutely. If there's a show you like and they can watch it too. Sure. I'm struggling. Okay, so Lisa, you're struggling greatly. Is there a message you can give me from them to go on? So that's a personal intuitive question. Like I said, I won't answer those specifically, especially mediumship in this format, because that would be difficult. I think I still haven't really figured out and thought about how I would manage that. So those specific information, I won't answer those in this format. But I just attempted to post something to Instagram right before I jumped on. It wasn't working, but I was reminded today about how the other side works, and constantly I'm fighting it myself, and it's really, really annoying. I literally do this for a living. This is all I do, is connect with the other side, connect with the energy of people sitting in front of me. I can feel blocks. I can feel where energy is stuck. I can recognize core belief patterns and thought patterns that are getting in your way, thought patterns that are helping you. So I do this all the time. And this morning, without giving too much detail to who this was, I had a person who I haven't met physically, but I know of. Someone in her life passed, and that person kept coming to me, coming to my mind. So I thought, oh, I have to message her. But I'm also very careful and cautious on, I don't want to be that person where I'm like, oh, by the way, I was speaking to so-and-so today, because sometimes that doesn't help. And that's not always my role. But this person was coming to me this morning, actually yesterday, last night, again this morning. I kind of ignored it. Really, because the person that she's attached to is someone who gets a lot of people writing and messaging her all the time. So I just didn't want to be another one of those people. But it kept bothering me. And intermittently throughout the day, I'm like, oh, I really should text so-and-so and let her know that her so-and-so is talking to her or saying hi. I ignored it. Again, this is all I do for a living. I tell everybody, don't ignore the signs. And if you feel moved to do something, act on it and everything, right? And I'm not acting on it. Finally, at 5:30 tonight, I took my son to get a haircut. And we go to the same barber we've been going to for at least 2 years, 3 years. And I'm sitting in front of his spot where we always sit. And I notice a stuffed animal. And he has several of them on his shelf. And that particular stuffed animal was very poignant and important to the person who had passed, and the one that I was ignoring her messages all day. And finally I realized, okay, got it. Deb, like, would you stop? Send the freaking text. Let her know so-and-so has been with me all day. Let her know what the message is, and move on. And I finally did. And I said, I don't want to be that person. And I know this is annoying, but she's been with me all day, and I have to tell you this, this, and this. And the person was like, oh my gosh, please never not text me when you get that message, and so on. So why do I say this big, long story is to remind you that I fall into these traps as well, where I ignore it. I think, oh my gosh, stop thinking that. It's probably not really her, because I get everything as, through mental thoughts. It's not like I see dead people. And I ignored it. And finally, one last time, here it is in plain view, was that stuffed animal that was actually a nickname of her. And I was like, that's it, that I have to message her. So my point is to don't ignore those little nudges that you get all day long. If you feel them with you, you're not making it up, because you don't feel them with you 24/7. And that's something I constantly tell you, that to remind yourselves, if you're questioning, oh my gosh, I don't know if I really feel them. I don't know if that's me making it up. It's not you making it up. If you are making it up, you're making it up 24/7. So if you're not doing that, then it's them and you're feeling them. So that's how you could trust it. Colorado. Hello, Annie. It's good to see you. I'm so glad you finally set a timer for this. This is great. Okay. Perfect, Leon. Thank you for your update. Hello, Melissa. Oh, yes. Melissa, you're asking, I forgot to add it to the broadcast, your questions. Whoops. I added Greg's. Hey, Deborah. It's Melissa from Athens. That's not Athens, Greece, in case some of you are wondering. That would be cool if you were in Greece and I was in Greece, and Greece is pretty nice, I think. I've never been. But can you touch an object and receive information for someone? That's called psychometry. Absolutely. I don't do that in readings for a couple of reasons. I teach a class on this and how to hone your skill and understand what you're receiving when you do hold objects of other people. So, but I don't do it in a reading because I feel like right off the bat, if someone hands me a woman's watch, I know I'm looking for a woman. And if someone holds me a t-shirt with Superman on it, I know they were a Superman fan. So I don't want any objects because I feel like the object itself gives me a little bit too much information, even if it's just male, female, a female ring versus a male ring. I don't want anything. But jewelry in particular holds energy for so long because it's metal, and anything metallic is a good conductor of energy. That's science. It's physics. It's not any woo-woo new age crap. It's just the way it goes. So something that's been close to your body and you wear it all the time, your energy is infused with it. So that's always the thing that I always find is the biggest crime when people say someone's jewelry from their mom or dad or whoever has been stolen. That to me is like a theft of the soul, because you can't get that energy back, and so much energy is placed in our jewelry. But yes, absolutely. And that's something that you can feel yourself. So much of this energy stuff you guys can do yourself. I'm not saying that everyone is a medium, and for other people, everyone is a medium for your own people. You can connect with your own people way better than any medium can. But you can pick up on energy and feel energy. You just don't know what it is you're feeling or how to process it. So that's an important skill that I think that people need to realize. Like, you can hone these skills if you pay attention, if you do the work. It does drive me crazy when people think like, oh, I take a weekend class and all of a sudden they could be a medium for other people, because I think that's disgusting, actually. I think that there's so much more to mediumship than just bringing messages in. You have to be psychologically mindful of the person sitting in front of you. You are dealing with people's psychology, their psyche, their grief, their deepest, darkest moments. It's not just like, oh, by the way, Howard says hi and he's fine. There's a lot more to it. So that's when I get crazy with mediumship. But everyone can pick up on energy and feel energy and then learn how to process energy. That's something we all do all day long, all the time. So let's see, what other questions? I want to get back to a question. Rock Your Hair Studio. I don't remember your first name, but that's okay. I think it's kind of fun to use the names that you have on here. Like, I see Dragon Girl. That's fascinating. I'm a Dragon Girl because I was born in the year of the dragon. I've never considered myself a Dragon Girl, but you made me think of that. Dragon Gal. I don't have my glasses on. But I think, Rock, you asked earlier, do you shield yourself before I do a reading? And you know what? I really don't. I don't think about it. I've been told over and over and over and over to do it. I used to be very, very like, oh, please, you don't have to shield yourself. It's fine. And the shielding self is not like protecting from negative energies or evil and any of that crap. It's not for those purposes. But the shield myself, what I should do better is, a lot of times when someone leaves my office, I kind of forget to shake off their stuff. So I'm left holding on to other people's emotions that aren't even mine. So that I should shield myself much better. Just, how do you shield yourself? It's so simple. It takes a second. Just surround yourself with white light, pink light, whatever resonates with you. Some people have very elaborate processes of shielding themselves. I had a healer one time tell me that I should visualize that I'm jumping into a pink pool of Teflon, liquid Teflon. And I was like, ooh, that's cool. And I did it for a minute. But it's good. It's good for you to shield yourself so that you don't carry other people's stuff with you. That's something that we should be mindful of all day long when we're out in public and with our family and friends and coworkers and dealing with the outside world. We should be doing that. So it shouldn't just be a medium. But as far as shielding myself because of negative energies on the other side, no. Their energy is pristine, perfect, and amazing. I need to shield myself from people's energy, human energy, not spiritual energy. That's a really, really excellent question. Then a follow-up to that one, as per Jack. Oh, it's Aisha, Dragon Girl. I didn't know it was you, Aisha. Oh my God, it's good to see you on here. Okay, so do you have a ritual before a reading? I do. I definitely do. It's so rote now that I just do it. It's not even like I stop and still doing it, but before every single gallery, there is a prayer, if you will, a statement that I say that I've written down once. I have never shared it. No one has ever read it. No one ever will read it. I folded it up. I kept it in my wallet for so many years that it got really, really like crinkly. And I think half of it survived. So I only have the half of the original reading that I'd written down. I actually wrote it while I was at a John Edward gallery in New York City, like, oh God, 13 years ago, maybe 14. And I'm in the audience and it came to me that like what I had to say for me to get into that space. So yes, I do say that before every gallery. I'll never repeat it to anyone. It's just one of those things that it's my thing. And then before every single reading, I do have a flip of the switch, and I constantly am like, okay, prove it again. And unfortunately, that's how I operate. Prove it to me again. I'm telling your people, like, prove this to me again. Show me. Not even show you, the people sitting with me, show me. Where I'm just like the asshole, like, yeah, show me. Like, make me feel like, what the fuck this is? What is this? Every single time I do it. Because I still am like, how do I know stuff? Is it this? Is it that? What is happening? How do I know what I know? So that's my ritual. But do I like candles and do anything elaborate? No. Incense. I do like to light incense, but I just like that because of the smell. After every reading, what I do in the office is I do ring a set of bells. If you're ever in my office and you see kind of over my shoulder, there's bells hanging by my bookcase. And between every single reading, I just hit that string of bells because bells or sound, it acts like a broom. It sweeps the energy. It clears the energy. And you could have that in your house. In fact, you should have it in your house. A bell or a chime or something to just move the energy. Think of it as like sweeping. You're just sweeping away cobwebs and dust and stuff. In my center, I'm sweeping away the energy that was there before to bring in new energy when the next person sits down. So that's my ritual. Yes, Kathy, we do have to all give a shout out to GK for getting this to work. He's my digital director is what Michelle calls him. So my digital director did a good job of sitting for hours trying to figure this out because I tell you what, I wouldn't do it. No way. I'd be like, I'm done. I don't really care. I'll figure it out. We'll stick with Facebook. And there are better ways. The reason why we're doing YouTube is there's so many other ways, like, so the messages get out there bigger and other reasons that I don't even know. I don't even understand any of this technology stuff anymore. I sound like I'm 104, but I really don't anymore. And I'm starting to get frustrated with it. Thank goodness GK is taking over that role because I'd be like, forget it. I'm just not doing it. And I would sit there and do nothing all day long. So yes, props to GK. And then GK asked Jack, hey, listen, could you help me out? Because we want to test the live. And as soon as we go live, people who subscribe, which you really totally should do if you haven't, you click the little bell somewhere on your page. And once you click the little bell, you'll get notified when I come on, every single time I come on. Well, if you've done that, you were notified this afternoon, so you were able to see Jack, who was so excited to come on because, this is his thing too now. So I like that he likes it. And he's good with you guys. If you look back at it, he's like very comfortable. While he was trying to work on it with GK, he got distracted because he is his mother's son. And he was playing with his phone or texting or Snapchatting on his phone and totally forgot what he was doing. And then was like, oh, by the way, I forgot. So, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree, as they say. So yes, props to GK and Jack today. Also, since we're on the topic of GK, tomorrow, yes, I'm saying this, tomorrow is his 50th birthday. Yeah. So you need to bombard him somehow and send messages to him of wishing him a happy 5 decades on this planet, on this ever so happy planet. And yeah, so get that message, or you can wish him here. He's here. Greg Koff, GK. Laura, I am coming to Albany for a gallery. I am going to do a gallery in May. I'm trying to think of the date. If you give me a minute, I should have this stuff. One moment, please. But I just saw this on my calendar. I think it's May 15th. It is. How good am I? Oh my gosh. Not really. The Polish American Club, and I'm not quite sure where it is. Hold on, let me see if that's on my thing. It's in Albany, Polish American Citizens Club in Albany, and it's on May 15th. So that is the next time I will be in Albany for a gallery. So you can find that event on my website. So if you go to my website, click calendar, go to May, click May, whatever day I just told you, because I've already forgotten what the heck, 15th. I just saw the number 13 somewhere. So I was like, did I say 13th or 15th? So May 15th, and then you can click on it for all the details on how to make a reservation. But that's going to be exciting to be back up there. Okay. Yes, now we have all these fabulous happy 50th. Greg, he's going to be like, just talk about your stuff. Don't talk about what I do. So let me just read something very quickly from the book. For those of you who don't have the book, you should get it. It's on Amazon, or you can get it at any of my events. But I want to address something about mediumship. And the more I get into this, the less I even want to do mediumship, because mediumship is a tip of the iceberg. I talk about this all the time. It's just the tip of the iceberg. If you only realized and understood the value in how to understand and perceive energy, your own energy, and how you can change your life because your thoughts are directly correlating to your life. And yes, then death happens and throws a hand grenade into your life. And I'm not saying that, think positive and your grief's going to go at all. That's bullshit. And I would never say that. But usually it's a death that gets us moving. It gets us thinking. It gets us striving. It puts us back on the map because we're searching so badly for answers about everything. The big question, why? Why am I here? Why are they here? Why are they not here? That puts us on a path. And that path, grief, is the greatest vehicle for personal transformation when we know how to do it, when we know how to use it. So mediumship is just the tip of the iceberg. It's usually the catalyst that gets you searching for these answers and digging deeper and understanding your life in a way you never knew before. This is the stuff that lights me up, the living, the life after death, not your own death, but your life after you've survived a death of a close loved one. Because when it first happens, you don't think there is life, your own life afterwards. So it's the tip of the iceberg. But I want to address mediumship because I feel so strongly about what mediumship is and what mediumship isn't. It's, for me, and I have to bet, and of course I haven't met anyone who does experience mediumship in the way of the movie Sixth Sense, but it is not like that. It doesn't work like that. It's not creepy. Information is coming to us all the time. It's part of the ether, information, data about all of us. And a medium's tool is just fine-tuned to understand, is that data and is that information, is that pertinent to my life, or is it pertinent to somebody around me? So it's not like I see ghosts. It's not like Ghost Hunters or any of these paranormal shows. I think they're doing a massive disservice to humanity because they're spinning a truly innate ability for all of us, and they're spinning it into this fear and creep factor, and it just makes me crazy. I'm really not thrilled with it. And then, not thrilled with it, then I'm in that genre. That is my world. That's the title people know me by. You will judge me thinking, she's one of those wacko creep, people, or not. You know what I mean? So I have a whole bunch of shit with mediumship. My point is, let me read from my freaking book to explain what I'm talking about. Maybe that would be easier. I could hear you guys going, oh, shut up, Deb, and just read the friggin' thing. So from my book, In the Presence of Proof, what is a medium? Many people still understand it as a person who can talk to dead people. Ugh. I even wrote ugh in my book. Really, though, a medium is someone who has the ability to suspend our own human senses. And before you think that sounds like some ability born in the movies, it is and it isn't. It doesn't mean we have more direct connection or relationship to the disembodied than regular people. And it doesn't mean we were chosen to connect. It really doesn't mean anything spectacular at all. What it does mean is we have an ability to temporarily suspend our own egos and our own beings in order to connect with the other side. It means we sense things, thoughts, emotions, memories, details, and locations that are not our own. And we are aware that we're doing it. As you're reading these words or hearing these words, your senses have been providing you feedback of your current world. You may or may not have noticed scents around you. Perhaps someone is or was cooking nearby you or brewing coffee as you listen to this. Maybe you're in a park and can smell perfume or freshly cut grass. I doubt it because you're listening to me on YouTube, but maybe when you read the book you were. Maybe you've been aware of sounds or thoughts as you are hearing these words. Maybe you've had flashbacks of certain loved ones or thoughts that are not pertaining to your current reality. As humans, we are constantly operating via our senses. So just stop for a moment and pay attention to where you are right now. Are you laying down? Are you sitting? Is the room brightly lit, dark? Is it cold? Is it warm? What are you wearing? Who's around you? What other sounds are happening in your home or wherever you are? Pay attention. Notice your environment. Are there animals, children? Can you hear what's going on in the next room? Are you wishing your kids were in bed and they're not yet? Just pay attention and notice there's so much sensory information going on around you as you're listening to me, as you're watching me. Stuff that you're aware of, but you haven't been aware that you're aware of it until I just made you aware of it. So that's what I'm talking about in that paragraph. As mediums, we suspend all of our own beliefs and opinions of the world, and we somehow morph into or sense another point of view. We are literally able to experience the world through the eyes of many who happen to be deceased. In the beginning of my work, I had constant thoughts that never made sense to me, none of which were negative in nature. And that's an important thing because people will contact me and they say they're so-and-so loved one they think is a medium, and they are saying that they're spirits that are contacting them and telling them to do bad things. And I'm like, that's not mediumship at all. That's another whole set of problems that, needs to be addressed with the proper mental health person. That's not a put down at all. It's just a fact. Mediumship is not scary. It's not negative. It's not tuned in to evil and non-evil. It's none of that stuff that you see on TV. So it's a crucial point I need to make. If you're reading this, you feel, hear, see, sense information or messages from a source you don't feel as yourself, and these voices or sensations are telling you to do negative things, then ignore them and seek mental emotional assistance. I did write that in my book. Okay, let me jump towards what I'm talking about. Although they didn't make sense to me at the time, the thoughts I had been thinking in my early years weren't elaborate enough for me to understand that what I was hearing were the voices of the other side, not voices like creepy voices, disembodied voices, just thoughts. Instead, I thought I had an active imagination and I just liked to think a lot. Whew. When I found out that wasn't the full picture, I didn't know whether to be relieved or upset. I believe we all have the ability to connect with our loved ones, but being aware of it is what is key. Being able to get rid of your own thoughts is what you need in order to access them. Meditation is a key element here, but the ability is far beyond meditation. A medium allows the energy of the person to be made known. We're not placing judgments on this person's way of thinking. We are picking up on their thinking, their memories, their emotions, nuances, and habits as them, not as ourselves. Once I can feel a person's energy, I can open up a conversation with that person. Every personality is different, and there's no cookie cutter way of connecting with them. Let's see. And then I go on about like a trained medium. It's our job to connect with people in the darkest moments, kind of what I was just saying before. The point is mediumship is the ability to not have to be me in that moment. It doesn't matter who Deborah is, what Deborah likes, what Deborah thinks and believes. Instead, it's like I'm allowing another perspective to come into my entire reality, into my entire being. Don't think of that as I'm allowing someone's body to come into my body. That's not what it is for me. It's more of an awareness of when people say, if you could put a day in my shoes, what's that saying? Spend 10 minutes in my shoes. I don't know. I get these sayings wrong all the time. But that's basically what it is. I'm putting myself in another person's shoes, literally feeling it. And that's how I know who they are, because I know like, oh, I don't think this way. I don't believe this way. But it's not mine. It's not necessarily mine. So I hope does that make sense? You guys can give me a thumbs up or a like or whatever it happens on YouTube to let me know if that makes sense. So yes, grief does kick the shit out of you. Absolutely does. Let's see. Someone else wrote in something earlier, and then I'm going to get to your question, Maria. You guys can write in your generalized questions as well. Is it possible not to be able to reach someone? And if so, why? Yes, it is possible to not be able to reach someone. It's happened to me for sure. Many different reasons why. I think I described this on here recently. I was talking about this somewhere. I had an aunt who, before she passed, she knew what I did, and we kind of sat around and we were kind of joking. Well, I thought she was joking, and she would say to me, listen, when I go, you don't need to contact me. No one needs to contact me. Just know that I'm in Aruba and I'm fine. I'm far away and I'm good and happy. And we all laughed, ha ha ha. And we're like, oh, we just want to know you're around. And she's like, no, I'm not coming through. I'm not giving you messages. And would you know it? I have maybe in the 16 years that she's passed, I've felt her maybe 3 times, maybe I think maybe twice. So I can't get her on the phone. It's like I get a busy signal every time I try to give her a call. What is that about? I don't know. I mean, with her, I guess I'm like, oh, she said this and that's what's going to be. Some people ask me, are skeptics, will they not come through? If they didn't believe in this here in life, will they come through? They totally do come through. I think I've shared once before about one time, many times, but one time in particular, I had someone who was a practicing Jehovah's Witness come through, and they don't believe in this. So it's not necessarily a belief system that causes someone to or not to come through. What else? Time and distance does not change. So sometimes people say, oh, they've been passed for like 20 years. That doesn't matter. They're still passed. So I can still, connect with them. Sometimes I've heard where, say, in one reading, a person's both parents passed, and then they come back a year later. Say in the first reading, their dad did all the talking, and they come back a year later, and then their mom does all the talking. I've heard that many, many times, where they flip, where it's like, oh, you spoke last time, I'm going to talk this time. I've heard that a lot, but I don't know. I don't know a real reason. I know for me as a medium, I'm not confident because I like proof, and I like to know that I'm not steering someone down this path of like Cuckooville. So a lot of times I'll get people who will say, can you contact my family I've never met? I'm not comfortable with that, only because how do I prove it? How do we know what I'm saying is true and real? And I'm all about that. I need to be as validated as possible. So I believe mediums are good with that, but I don't feel I'm good with those scenarios. So yes, there are times they don't come through. I don't always have the exact why on that. Oh, another time is if they're very quiet, very private here in life, they're not going to all of a sudden spill their guts out, and they're gonna keep that personality that you knew them to have. So if you knew them to not share and be open and not talk, that's how they're going to be. So that's another reason. But other than those, I don't know. It's not like they didn't cross over. It's not that they didn't make it to the other side. It's none of those reasons, but I don't quite always know exactly why. So I see James and GK going back and forth. That's fantastic. Oh, yes, Melissa. Let me tell you a funny thing about that. Melissa says she hopes I have an audio version of my book. I published a book in September. I reserved all of October to do an audio version of it. I recorded it. It took, I think it was like 30 hours, 35 hours to record it. And I did that. And this is why I don't like technology. And this is why I'm always like, oh, fuck that, I'm done. I'm over it. Once I recorded it and I sent it in for editing, they said my mics were too hot and they could hear like my stomach growling and they can't edit those things out. So I have to do it all over again. And I just couldn't do it again. I just could not do it. So I'll get back to it. I know it's like on one of my lists of things to do. So it is a good idea to have an audiobook. I would have had it. I had plans to do it, but I wish I had sent it chapter at a time versus all of it at once, because then I would have known earlier. But yeah, I still need therapy from that. But anyway, I will eventually. Okay. Maria, are there factors in your personal life that heighten or lessen your ability of mediumship, illness, depression, etc.? That's a great question. Well, illness for sure, because when I was not doing well 2 years ago and had issues health-wise, there was no way I was even remotely thinking or trying or caring to do any of this. So illness, will take so much energy from your body that you will probably not have the energy to connect in a meaningful, willing way. Depression, I almost think depression can make it more astute, because anyone who's depressed is a good feeler, meaning they can pick up on feelings, emotions of others, of themselves. This is where I said before, like I sometimes don't know if it's my sadness or someone else's that's stuck with me. But I feel like, like Robin Williams, he's so brilliant. Depressed guy, he can do the gamut of all characters. So I do tend to believe that people who are deep, deep feelers for themselves are much better mediums because they know the range of emotion in life versus someone who no, I don't really ever get depressed and life is fine and great. I don't know who that is. I can't relate to that. That's a very, I don't know, small sliver of life I feel that you're living. That'd be nice, I think. I don't know. But somebody who can feel the real range of emotion, I think, is important. Just like an actor needs to know how to feel the range of emotions that they're playing. A medium is very similar. It's like we're assuming a role, if you will, in that moment. What does this character, what does this person, how do they feel? How do they think? How do they act? What are their mannerisms? What are their emotions? What are the words that they use? Well, do they like animals? Do they not like animals? Were they rough and tough? These are all the things that we're perceiving and picking up on. And I feel like if you have a very small, slide of emotions that you feel, you're only going to stay in a certain realm. You're not going to go the gamut. So that's a great question. Food, believe it or not, I'm so aware of and yet have not remedied this by any means, but because I'm lazy. But food definitely changes the way we're tuned in. Too much sugar definitely leads us off to la la land. This is per medium, different per person based on your metabolism. I just recently learned speaking with James von Prague, which is on my YouTube channel, by the way, my interview with James. You could see both of us talking. He had said something, I don't even know if it's he might have said it to me before the interview, but he said something about how he always has a steak after a big event. And that struck me because I love steak. I love meat. I know. Insert jokes now, James and Greg. But I do. And my body feels like I need it. tried to be a vegetarian. I like the philosophy of vegetarianism, but my body wants meat. And James Van Praagh said, well, I said, oh my gosh, it's so weird. I'm always wanting meat, always craving it. He said, that's because your body gets depleted of B12, vitamin B12 and iron when you're doing readings and you want it. And I'm like, I never knew that. How many years? So food is an important thing to be aware of, but every medium is different, just like every person is different. That's a good question. Let's see. Ooh, Beth. That's a good one. Do you think young children who have imaginary friends are actually connecting to someone who have passed? Sometimes, yes. Not necessarily always. I remember having imaginary friends, and I'm wondering, I just flashed back to like when I was like 4 years old. Right after my brother passed, I used to set up like tea and, not tea. No, I didn't set up tea. I set up God knows what, a table full of fake food. In the movies, that's always a tea party, right? And I did I have my dolls? I don't know. I just remember sitting in the chair, but I don't think in that moment I was thinking I was connecting to someone who's passed. So it would vary. It would be difficult. Sometimes it is just an imagination. If it gets more detailed, if the conversation that happened is then, hey, mom, dad, guess what? I was talking to so-and-so today, and this is what they said to me. If it gets a little bit more elaborate, that would be an indication of mediumship. But sometimes it's just play, and it's really hard to decipher. But that is a great, great, great question. James. Oh, right. Now you're the first time you're not going to touch the meat, James. Right. I got you right back at you. Okay. As this takes a really negative turn. Let's see. Oh, Greg, you're making a suggestion. I should do a chapter at a time on Face Group or YouTube channel. Oh, God, help me. My digital director is getting on my nerves by giving me all this work, guys, by the way. I just saw that. I saw one. Pork fat rules. Okay. It does. It does. I like pork fat too. My mom is intuitive, Kathy. Yep. She's intuitive. She is doing her thing. And she has an intuition, not so much mediumship, but a good way of reading others. Not so great at reading herself, but she has a good way of reading others. Dragon Girl, Aisha. I can't see her picture, Aisha. Oh my God. I'm tired. Maybe I should do this like Monday morning, not Monday night. Let's see. If a person was mentally challenged, how do they connect from the other side? Great question. Mentally challenged, I'm reading that as a a learning disability, communication disability. They'll come through with that. They'll come through with, I might say like, did they have a difficult time? Did they not speak? I've read many people who were severely schizophrenic here in life or bipolar here in life. And I'll feel that because I'll say to them like, oh my God, 1 minute I'm like so happy. Next minute I'm really, really down, like extremes. So they'll come through with their personality. They really will. To me, that's typically the most common way I can feel them is through their personality, through their thought process. How did they understand the world? I think it's really valuable too. And I had a session earlier today where I was explaining this a bit, where when we cross over, whoever we were here, the human identity we had here is no longer, the human identity dies. And it's not what people like, but our soul, our body wraps our soul, our essence, our energy is exactly the same within all of us. It's just wrapped in a different body, and in that different body with different experiences and different emotions and different thoughts creates an identity. And that the problem in the world is that we all believe that's where this identity, and we're so much more, and we're also the same. This is why we're all connected. So when we die, we drop the body, we drop all the crap, we drop the ego self, we drop all the human part of us, and we ascend, if you will, or reconnect to what I call the collective whole, which is the essence of which we already are. However, they'll come through in a reading as their human self because that's the person you knew. That's the person you identify. And today, and I say this often, when someone that was maybe not well liked here or we had issues here, when they come and show me their human self, I can then help the person sitting with me understand why their human self was the way it was, where they were coming from, were they deliberate, mean, and malicious? And if so, why? Where did that happen? Where did that come from? Why? What was their motivation? Or wow, were their actions so unconscious and so they didn't realize that they did harm? I find that to be incredibly valuable as a human here, still processing. So you get a glimpse of like, oh, wow. So my grandfather wasn't a raving lunatic. He was a really hurt soul. Or, hey, wow, my grandmother was a raving lunatic, which maybe she was, but I'm not saying my grandmother's a raving lunatic. And it gives us insight. And the whole thing with mediumship, in my opinion, is about getting insight so that we can better understand ourselves while we're still here. To me, that's the point, because we have to live here. We have to do this realm. We have to. We're here. So if we could understand our humanity and our spiritual self, I call it our human self and our higher self in the book, better, we can live better. We can live smarter. We can get past our shit. We're a great portion of our shit. We can get past other people's shit and we can move forward. Doesn't mean we're perfect. Doesn't mean we love everyone by any means. God knows I know that one, but it means you have better insight. You can take care of yourself in a way that you never thought you really could. So I hope that answers the question. Rita, I like this question, but I'm not quite sure I understand it totally. So I want you to refine it for me. Do other people experience grief in their body? I'm not sure what you mean. Do people in general? Do other people meeting other mediums? Just refine like your question a little bit for me, because I think that's a really great one to address. And while I'm waiting for that, I will keep scrolling down. Do I ever experience a spiritual awakening? Oh my God, totally. Yes. Spiritual awakening. Yes, several. And what are they like? I was just in a class last month and someone had asked the question very similar to this. And almost everyone in the group said, how would we know? And we don't know. The answer was no to the group. And my mind was blown that no one has ever had many people have not had spiritual awakenings. And I was like, what? Oh my God, this is news to me. There's so many degrees of it. I believe when my brother died when I was really young, that was a spiritual awakening. I believe I've had experiences for myself. I'm not even talking about readings. Those are spiritual awakening every day on a much lesser degree. Through trials and tribulations and overcoming real hardship, internal hardship, spiritual awakening. Through being an asshole, I have a spiritual awakening, realizing like, oh my God, wow, that was me. I was a jerk there. I was the problem. That's a spiritual awakening that a lot of people don't want to admit. It only happened to me once, though. Where I was an asshole. It was me. It was just one time my whole life. It was everyone. It's always everyone else's problem. A dream that I had that I wrote about in the book was really important. That was a spiritual awakening. So many meditations that have rocked my world. So yes, absolutely. And they'll still continue. They will still continue. I hope that's the whole point here. Let's see. Okay. I'm still waiting for Rita's. Oh, other people who have experienced loss. Other people have experienced loss. Do they hold grief in their body? Absolutely. And loss doesn't necessarily even mean death. That's the other thing. Death is a concept. Death of a relationship, death of a job, death of a friendship, death of where you would live and you couldn't live there anymore. Death occurs in many ways. Death of a former self ability when we could, run and do marathons and then you can't anymore. There's death in our life all the time. And yes, that gets stuck in our body. Every emotion we ever experience gets stuck in our body if we don't process it and move it. And the energy of emotion is energy and motion in our body. So when you're angry, it's stored anger that's been there for a while coming out. So we all know what happens when you suppress anger and you push it down, it's going to come out one way or another, whether it comes out verbally and you explode on everybody. That's my method. That's my most favorite. Or you keep it inside and it attacks your cells. It attacks internally. Different body organs process different emotions. The lungs are the primary organ to process grief. So it's not uncommon for people, after you've had someone who passed, come down with more colds than usual, respiratory issues, asthma, pneumonia, bronchitis, COPD, lung cancers. All of that is grief, and it is processed in the lungs. So it doesn't mean that if you're sad, you're going to have lung cancer. It doesn't mean that, but that's where the emotion of grief settles deeper, and the lungs really have to process it, which is why breathing and taking deep breaths during grief is so important on a cellular level. Sounds silly. It's not going to take away your grief, but it's definitely going to help process it and move it out of your lungs. The liver is the organ to process anger. So think about it. A lot of alcoholics, severe alcoholics, are very, very angry. Not all, but a lot, because the liver is shot. It's shot from trying to metabolize the alcohol. It can't metabolize also the anger. So that's one. Gallbladder metabolizes, I feel like I'm getting this wrong, so don't totally quote me. I'll have to look it back up. But indecision. So if you're very indecisive, it usually means that you're having some gallbladder issues. Doesn't mean you need your gallbladder out. Just might mean that your gallbladder is working overtime. Or if your gallbladder's working overtime and you have issues, it's probably that you're always stuck between indecision. What else? Anger. Joy is the heart. Sadness is the heart. Sadness, grief is lungs. So this is all, if you look up metaphysical medicine or ancient Chinese medicine, traditional Chinese medicine, you'll find a lot more information on all of this. Let's see. My father never got to meet my son before he passed. Yes, absolutely. And yes, Greg, you're right. Good job, Grasshopper. Where we go when we die is the same source, the same space, the same consciousness, energy of where we come from before we're born. So those who pass actually greet those children first. They're the ones, sometimes I see in readings, they're like handing over a baby and they're like delivering, like, oh, I'm watching them, taking care of them here, but right before we hand them over to you. And this is energetically speaking. They also get the moment they cross over, they see all of our lives and everything that's to come. So they're not missing anything. If anything, they're getting a preview of your life as it moves forward and backwards. They're getting all of time. So no doubt your father met your son and most likely hand delivered him to you. Okay. Let me see what my friend James is writing here. Why do I feel someone's energy so strong they stand out in a crowd? This happened yesterday. I felt I needed to give her advice or something, but didn't. Not a question, just sharing shit. Okay, I like you sharing shit. Well, couple of things. I am, and you know this, and you said I didn't, I'm always on the fence. I don't think people should just randomly go up to people and be like, hey, by the way, this is what I think. Just because that person didn't ask for permission. I think of ethical boundaries, emotional boundaries, religious boundaries even, that come up. More so for my work than just a random stranger. But you can look at it two ways. Either that person really needed to hear something, like my story I said before, and I saw the stuffed animal and I was like, oh my gosh, finally I got the memo and I sent the message. So it could be them that you are feeling compelled and you're just tuning in and plugging in. But what's important to look at, and people hate this when I say this, absolutely hate it, but look at that person as your mirror. For some reason, that person's energy jumped out at you, and pretend they're a mirror to you, meaning everything you feel like you need to tell them is actually them reflecting back at you what you need to hear. So maybe you won't tell yourself or listen to yourself, but if you share it with another person, then that might help you process it. And I do this every day in every reading. I still, even though I know this is for that person sitting in front of me, I also know that because I'm sitting in the dynamic itself, sitting across from people, that some of what I'm saying, I need to hear. I need to listen. I need to pay attention because that person sitting in front of me is my mirror. So if you look at it that way, there'll be so much more for you to gain for self-reflection, self-introspection, learning, growth, and just write them down. You don't even need to understand it at the time. I have a feeling you do understand it right now, but you might not. And then just write it down if you feel so compelled. Everybody we meet is a mirror to us. And people hate when I say that. They do. Because they're teaching us something. They're showing us something. Okay. Let's see. When you give a reading, are you validating the passing person's existence and role, or are you only validating and understanding how someone specifically feels about a passing or situation? I think a little bit of both. When you give, let me just read that again. When you give a reading, are you validating the passing person's existence and role, or are you validating and understanding how someone specifically feels about it? Both, definitely both. But not necessarily every single reading is both. Some might be just one of them, like validating that person, like, oh, did they like Snickers? And you're like, oh my God, they love Snickers. So sometimes it's just that. Other times it depends on the situation, the closure. When people want to know, did someone deliberately take their life? I have to feel that. I have to feel, was this deliberate? Was this pre-thought? Did they think this ahead of time, or did they not? So depends. But I can't say like, yes, every single reading will give you both those answers. I don't know what every single reading is going to bring through. That I never know. And it will vary. You come one, in 2019, you come again in 2020. It could be totally different, or it could be almost exactly the same, or a lot of the same messages. So I hope that helps. As a follow-up to the other question about spiritual awakenings, are spiritual awakenings initially emotionally and mind-boggling? Yeah, yes, they suck, actually. There is a book, at first, they suck. There is a book called You're Not Crazy, You're Just Waking Up. And I forget the name of the author who wrote it, but if you Google that, you can find it. I should add it to my list of books that I like. I have a book list, you guys, somewhere on my shop page, I think, on my website, where these are the books that I recommend. And I give a little brief synopsis of why I have to add this one. You're Not Crazy, You're Just Waking Up. That's a book that really describes that it's a lot of times your world might fall apart before, during a spiritual awakening. The thoughts you used to think, the beliefs you used to hold are shattered and they change, and you literally morph into and become a different person, different beliefs. And that's normal. That's okay. That's supposed to happen, actually. But sometimes in that process, or most times in that process, you lose a lot of people who like you that one way, and they like you this way and the old way, and they don't like the changes, and they don't kind of come into your new life with you. That's definitely happened to me. And that's really sad, but to me, it wasn't sad enough to prevent myself and keep myself from going back to those energies. but it is definitely mind-boggling, sad, exhausting. But what is gained is it far outweighs any of that. There's an inner liberation that I think we're all searching for that happens. And then you go through that, and then you need to learn everything else again on another level, and you're just constantly evolving. If you're doing it right, you're constantly evolving, which I don't like. I'd rather be like, all right, I'm good now. Thank you. Either the universe is going to give me $1 bajillion and I'm going to retire on an island, or I'm good. I don't need to do this. So I get it. The life thing is annoying. I find it annoying. People go, oh, but it's so beautiful. Yeah, we know that it's beautiful. The earth is beautiful. There's moments that are wonderful in life. But I find it to be incredibly stressful to be a human being. I find it to be incredibly boring to be a human, and monotonous and filled with obligations. And that's shit I hate, but that's myself. That's my soul. That's who I am. Until it's not, I guess. Until it's not. Let's see. My heart physically hurts, and I don't have. Sometimes you feel like your heart physically hurts and you don't have a heart issue. 100%. The heart absolutely physically hurts. The heart is the energy center and the muscle for love, giving love, receiving love, experiencing love, feeling love. And when that's been broken, there is something very real called broken heart syndrome. It's a real medical thing where people, some do pass of a broken heart. A lot of times you'll see couples who have been together for years and years, and they die within like days of each other, months of each other. They died of broken heart syndrome. So it's a very real thing. It doesn't mean you're going to die from it, but it absolutely hurts. The energy is so stuck there. So that's real. And what do? It's like pretend that heart is a little infant or a little baby crying and upset. What would you do for that little being that needs just comfort? What would you do? And imagine your heart, that heart center, is this little human being that just is so sad and needs love and attention. What would you do? And that's what you do for it. And sometimes you'll have the energy for it, and sometimes you won't. Grief is a nasty, nasty thing. It really is. It's so, you think you'll never get past it. You'll think you'll never get over it. And you get through it. You really can. You really will. It's a nasty thing. It plays crazy tricks on our minds and hearts and paints a different picture of our reality. And it's just a lot of crap. Let's see. Cindy is on. Somebody said, hi, Cindy. You've had flu-like symptoms. Yep, that I've heard that as well, that you can get very sick. Crazy dreams. Some people are will experience the other side through dreams, or just spiritual messages through dreams. I'm not one of them. I do try every once in a while. I do try to hone that skill, but then I forget to do it because I play Candy Crush or something stupid before I go to bed, and I'm not focusing on what I need to. Yes, Dana, you do need to read that book. Okay, Melissa, here's another good one. Other mediums have said people appear not as the age they died, but in the adult age of themselves. Do experience this. Yes. Age, gender, race, all of these things are sometimes very, very difficult to feel, to even know. People say, what do you mean gender? How come you can't tell gender? Sometimes I can. I'll say I don't know. I don't know if this is male or female. I could just feel their thinking. I don't know where they are yet. Other times I'm super clear. No, this is a male. No, this is female. But yes, sometimes I'm just trying to think back to specific situations. Well, with my brother who passed, he passed at 4. And a few times I've had mediums say, oh my gosh, you must have had a son who passed, because I see a little boy with you. So instantly they see little boy, they think little boy son, and no, he comes at that little boy age that he's come through. mostly he comes through as the age he would have been in a few times that he's been talked about with mediums, and he doesn't come through very much. So it varies. So that's why it's hard to tell. Sometimes I say, like, I can't tell. I feel like I'm 23. And then the person's like, no, it was 45. And I'm like, wow, was it really young at heart? And they're like, yeah, I acted like a kid. So age is another whole concept. But yeah, it depends. It depends. Sometimes they will come through as their really older self. Other times they'll come through very young. And these are the things that drives me crazy being a medium, because it's like, are you serious? Like, why can't you just show me exactly how old you were, exactly what day you passed, exactly how you passed? Why can't you just show me exactly? And it doesn't work like that. Not every single time it doesn't work like that. It literally varies. Wow, Greg just added that book to my book list on the Amazon store there. So that is pretty amazing that he just did that. You're not crazy, you're just waking up. So way to go, digital director. Nice job. Let's see. I'm going through all these messages here. Before, as you're still typing and stuff, I do online meditation. I just need to know if there is an interest in that. So if you send an email to the office or message me on Facebook or like write it on my Facebook page, whether you'd like a more online meditations, this is where you tune in just like this. You'll see me. I can see you back if you want me to. Other times people just kind of face their cameras up at their like ceiling fans. If they don't want to be seen, that's fine. I'll walk you through actual exercises on how to meditate, but I need to know, like, is that something everyone is interested in? There's a lot of times where you can tune in live, but if you can't meet the live one, then you can tune in later and redo the meditation. But I really want to get people on board with meditation, because that is the best tool for relieving stress, relieving anxiety, getting in touch, talk about spiritual awakening, getting in touch with that still small self within, meeting other people on the other side, honing your intuition. Like, we all should be meditating, like, all the time. We can't do it all the time. I don't do it all the time, but it's super important to check in. And the more you do it, the more you'll go, oh my God, you can get into that state that meditation brings you to much faster. Like, I can just get myself into that, like, focused, attention, centered state so much faster than had I not. So just give me a heads up about that. And you could let me know, like, what are the days and times that are better for you? Because sometimes I'll do it and people are like, I can't do it then, and blah, blah, blah. So, okay, what else? Any other questions? It's getting late. And let's see. Your aunt had dreams about your dad. Yes, that's right, Lee. We just talked about that. Good night, Sharon. I think you were saying you were leaving. Good night. Online meditation. And then also don't forget, I do in-person meditation. And I forgot to mention my energy transformation right here, awareness class. There's 2, maybe 3 spots. I forget, 2 spots left. This is my deepest, biggest workshop that I do all year. It's 6 weeks. It's held over 6 weeks, but there's 3 weeks of class, 3 weekends of class. So 30 hours over 6 weeks, and it's intense, and it's all about getting in touch with your energy. I'll have you feeling energy running through the palms of your hands within the first few hours of the day, and you will never believe that you're not going to believe that you never felt this way before. So that class is starting. It starts Friday, March 29th. We do a quick little class on a Friday night, the orientation, and then Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 2. And then we meet 2 more weekends from 9 to 2 on Saturday, Sunday. If you want in, there's 2 more spots left. And that's the deepest, I'll poke the bear. A lot of you on here have taken it before. I have not taught it since 2015, so 4 years. It takes a lot of energy out of me to do it. because I am so plugged in and honed in on your energy field. And I'm working with you to move that energy, to get rid of those blocks and at least identify some blocks that are going on with you that you never even knew were problems for you. So that starts March 29th. You have to make all the classes. Someone wrote to us, I can't make the first night. And it is just a orientation, but I don't want you missing any of these classes. So, it's if you can't make one of them, it's better to wait and take it a different time when you can really devote the time to it. So, Shelly, hello, I see you here. Debbie, Debbie, is that Debbie? Debbie, my Debbie, like Mike and Debbie, is that who you are? Yeah, you've been banned from my meditations. You're not allowed to come back. Why am I going to kill you, Greg? What's the good idea? Oh my God, I am going to kill you. What the hell? He's making all these suggestions. Do you guys want to, all right, let me ask them. Do you guys want to, before we close and end, do a brief taste of what a meditation would be like? So you can give me a thumbs up or a, what do they have to do? Comment. Just comment like, yes, let's do a quick meditation so you can get a sense of what I'm even talking about. There's one yes. I don't know how long the delay is, so I don't know if yes. Oh, there's 2 yeses. 3, 4. Okay, now they're all coming in. Okay. All right. All right, Greg. All right. So let's do this. And then I'll end on this meditation. And I want you to really pay attention to how you feel right this moment versus how you feel when it ends. So when it ends, I'm just going to log off quietly because sometimes people get really deep and I don't want to distract you again and bring you back into the noise. I want you to really stay in that state if you can. It is late. Hopefully you are trying to go to bed anyway. So, Greg wrote, I win. That's not good. I don't like that. Oh my gosh. For your birthday. I'm doing this for his birthday. So when we're done and logged off, just really stay in a state of calm or a state of reflection. That's what's important. So this is good. This is actually a really good idea. So what do we do? First, I want you to pay attention and just literally notice where you are right now, right in this moment. I'm going to close my eyes, but you can keep your eyes open for just a moment. I want you to really look at the room around you that you're in. Look at the walls and the ceiling, floor. If you're on a couch, your bed, chair. And take a really nice deep breath in through your nose. And then exhale slowly but forcefully out your mouth. And again, as I keep talking, just listen to my voice and just slowly take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold that breath at the top if you can, and then forcefully and yet slowly exhale out your mouth. You might want to make a noise too, when you breathe out. If there's other people around you and you don't want to do that, that's fine too. But already begin to check into your body. Notice by just 30, 45 seconds in, by taking deliberate breaths, you start to slow the body down. And you start to allow your body to become more relaxed. And if you haven't already, you can go ahead and close your eyes and allow yourself to really sink into your inner self. We're shifting our attention and our gaze from the outside world and the outside room to your inner world and your inner landscape. I just want you to notice and check in. How does it feel for you to be in your body right now? Whether you're sitting or laying down. Are there any parts of your body that feel tense or stressed? And just notice them. You don't have to judge them. And if there's any tension or stress, just breathe into it. Maybe you want to stretch it and move it. Breathe in to your skin and the outside of your body. If there's parts of your physical body that you're not happy with, maybe you feel not toned enough, or maybe you feel terribly overweight. Maybe your posture is poor. Whatever it is, just take a note of it and breathe into that space. Acknowledge that space and acknowledge your idea or thought of those areas of your body. Just allow it to be just as it is right now. Your body is perfect in this moment right now. Then bring your attention back to your breath and feel what it feels like for the air to go in through your nostrils. Notice what it feels like as your chest or abdomen expands as you fill it with air. Then feel what it feels like as you push that air out your mouth. Feel it as it pushes past your lips. Feel when it leaves your chest and you feel the exhale, the contraction of your stomach or chest. Allow your body to just get more and more relaxed. Sink into this relaxation with your breath. And just bring in gratitude for yourself, for being in this moment right now, for getting yourself to this centered, quiet space right here, right now. Honor you. Give yourself permission to be you in this moment, right here, right now. And allow any tension, stress, or annoying thoughts just to roll off of you or fall off of you. And allow your body to get more and more relaxed. Recognize that your heartbeat has gotten slower. Your breathing is more steady. Just allow your mind to just be quiet and drift. Now bring attention back to your breath. Bring attention back to your body. You can wiggle your fingers and your toes to come back into your body if you wish. If you're too relaxed or deep into a space that feels good, then don't come back. Don't come back to the room. Just allow yourself to sink into this. When you're ready, you can open your eyes if you choose. And just for a few moments, just sit in that silence. Bringing attention to your beautiful, amazing life force, your prana, your breath. And allow yourself, if you want to continue this. And all you have to do is just sink deeply into your breathing. Allow yourself to just let things go. Let things be in this moment. But that's just a small dose of what meditation can do for you. Just a tiny dose. And I have no doubts that you are most likely feeling calmer, if nothing else, more relaxed, settled down. This is really good to do right before bed for all of us because it just brings our edge down just a little bit. There's more of my meditations on YouTube, and I have guided meditation CDs. This is the way I love to do meditation, is through guided, as I find it to be the best way to help have, to have a facilitator. But as I log off, I just want you to just keep yourself into this space. Notice if you feel good. Pay attention to your inner self and your relaxation. You could go deeper, or you can go back to the rest of your night. But all of you, have a good night, and I will see you back here again next week. Thanks so much. Have a good one. Bye.